Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Rati here. So guys, today I'm going to do a slightly different kind of a video, and we are not going to talk about poetry or writing books or creative writing, but I'm going to talk about a genre of writing that specifically belongs to non-fiction. As some of you might already know, I'm a journalist with extensive experience across broadcast, print, and digital media. I don't really talk about my journalism background and the journalistic side of things so much on this channel because this is more related to my writing pursuits and my creative pursuits as such. But I just thought it was important to mention this because the video I'm going to make today and the form of writing I'm going to talk about today is more closely related with journalism. So in this video, I'm going to give you tips on how to write an opinion piece based on my extensive experience in writing opinion piece. Especially these days, I've been writing a lot of opinion pieces since I'm working independently. So I thought, opinion piece is a very popular form of writing. So I thought, why not share some tips on writing an opinion piece? So guys, before I begin, I just want to tell you briefly about what an opinion piece is. Now, an opinion piece is closely associated with journalism, and it's in fact a good entry point for non-journalists, people, from a non-media journalism background, if you want to start a career in journalism, or if you just want to get your writings published in media publications. An opinion piece is a good place to start because, unlike conventional form of journalism where you have to actually go and interview people, get sound bites, or do some kind of on-ground coverage, opinion piece doesn't require direct reporting, or it doesn't require primary research. You just sort of do some secondary research through books or through news reports, and present an independent analysis of it from your perspective. That's pretty much an opinion piece. So a lot of the range of an opinion piece is really wide. You would find students writing opinion pieces, sometimes for professional media publications as well, but you would also find very very highly experienced professionals, researchers working with think tanks, or even directors of think tanks, or even sort of political personalities, personalities from different walks of life, academicians. You would find all sorts of people, with different experiences and wavelengths writing opinion pieces. And, sometimes you have people kind of, if they specialize in a particular domain and there is a topic, which is in news from that particular domain, they also submit opinion pieces. So I think it's a good place to start for non-journalists if you want to get your writing published. You can send opinion pieces to media publications. Although these days, of course, when I talk about media publications, the newspaper culture is almost over. It's kind of getting extinct. So what you have instead is these multimedia publications, which is more sort of, digital forms of writing. And therefore, the demand for opinion pieces has risen exponentially because, those news websites are getting updated every day, and they need a lot of new content every day, and new topics are coming up with these 24/7 news channels. So there's a lot of demand. Having said that, it's not necessary that when you send an opinion piece as a beginner you will get paid for it. You might have to write it for free, but to sort of get a writing portfolio done and get some experience in a belt, I think it's a good way to start. Now, having said that, opinion piece is not just it is mostly related to journalism, but even other domains, you can write opinion pieces in any domain. In fact, most thought leadership articles which people write these days, those kind of thought leadership kind of blog posts are essentially opinion pieces. So, any field you belong to, be it publishing or fashion, or you're talking about environmental conservation, you just pick up contentious issues and, start writing opinion pieces on them. It's a good way to promote your ideas, to promote your website, whatever is your business model. So now, without much, it's been a lot of rambling already. So let's begin with the video, and let me give you some specific tips on how to write an opinion piece. Now, the first most important feature of opinion piece is that your opinion piece must be backed by facts and evidence. Now, guys, a lot of people, and not just beginners, I've seen even seasoned professionals, do the mistake of thinking that opinion piece is literally about an opinion. it's anything but your literal opinion, sort of all over the place. So just because it's called an opinion piece, that doesn't mean that, you simply take a topic and just, go on writing, rambling what you feel about it, what you think about it without any facts or evidence. That's just, lazy and bad writing. So an opinion piece is not an excuse for lack of research. It's not an excuse for writing lazy, judgmental, and bad prose. So a good opinion piece is always backed by facts and evidence. You have to, whatever arguments you're creating, whatever arguments you're building in favor of a particular topic or against a particular topic has to be backed by, some kind of solid evidence. It can be newspaper reports, it can be references to articles you read, it can be the work of an author, or you can cite some data from somewhere. It can also be anecdotal evidence, something you experience firsthand, or it could also be interviews. But whatever you say has to be backed up by some kind of evidence and facts. You don't have to necessarily reference. In fact, most opinion pieces do not give you spaces to provide references, because I guess that breaks the flow of writing. But you have to still, I think a good opinion piece still has to have a lot of factual material when you're illustrating a point of view. It's better to prove it by facts that, this happened and that happened. And so it proves that, rather than, just making blanket statements and, generalized, just throwing around generalized opinions. So a good opinion piece, like I said, must be always backed by facts and evidence. The second most important feature of opinion piece is a strong point of view. Now, guys, opinion piece is different from, forms of writing, more reflective forms of writing like essays, or even commentaries for that matter, where you don't follow a particular line of thought and, you can sort of ramble and, kind of be reflective and talk about the both pros and cons. Okay, this is like that, but it can be like that also. It can be like this also. Those academic forms of writing where there's often a lot of rambling involved. An opinion piece is the place where you have to have a strong point of view. And it's, you can not just afford to have a strong point of view, but if you have a strong point of view about a contentious issue, for example, you think strongly about, one nation, one election, whether it's right or wrong, or if you think strongly about the Israel-Palestine conflict, whatever issue, you feel strongly about, an opinion piece is the place to make your strong point of view known to the audience and ultimately persuade and convince the audience about your point of view. So it's not the place to, kind of balance and give the pros and cons. It is essentially about your opinion. Like I said, it has to be backed by facts and evidence, but do not shy away from giving a strong point of view in an opinion piece. The third tip for writing an opinion piece is that you should have a strong set of interrelated arguments. Now, writing an opinion piece, or non-fiction writing for that matter, but more specifically an opinion piece, is all about, balancing arguments and, a set of interrelated arguments. Now, ideally, you have a main argument and then, you have a set of secondary arguments supporting that main argument. For example, if you're writing an opinion piece on, the topic of whether social media should be banned for kids in India, and you're arguing that yes, it should indeed be banned for kids in India, then let's say our main argument is that it should be banned for kids in India because there is substantial evidence worldwide that it has led to gruesome horrors like child trafficking and child sexual abuse, and therefore in India also it needs to be banned. Now this is your main line of argument. To prove that main argument, you build a lot of secondary arguments. For example, you talk about what is the scenario of social media for kids in other countries, what kind of regulations do they have. For example, Australia has already banned social media for under 16-year-olds. So you could weave a complex web of interrelated secondary arguments like that. The fourth most important element of an opinion piece is a strong news peg. Now, guys, whatever you're writing, it has to have a strong news peg. You cannot just randomly pick up any topic out of the blue and start writing about it. You can do that, if you're a very seasoned writer or a journalist. But I would suggest, if you're starting out or if you're new to the art of non-fiction writing, then it's best to stick to a news peg while writing an opinion piece. The more direct your news peg is, the more chances are of your opinion piece getting accepted for publication if you send it for review. So, so there's so many contentious topics these days. For example, there is a topic of one nation, one election. Then there's a topic about racism against Indians in US politics, or there is the topic of Elon Musk, who is constantly kind of like criticizing governments worldwide. So you could argue, is that fair or not? Is he overstepping his boundaries? There's so many contentious topics. And the more directly you address these topics in an opinion piece, the more likely your opinion piece is going to be picked up. The simple logic is that, everybody likes to read about what is in the news. And since people already know about the topic, it's in the news so much, so it's easier for them to understand your opinion piece and connect to it rather than you picking up something randomly. Having said that, it's not just about media industry, but even in other industries, if you're in publishing or wherever, an opinion piece is always better if you pick up contentious issues or debates or controversies in your industry and then write about them than just writing any topic randomly. The fifth most important feature of an opinion piece, according to me, is that no value judgments and personal attacks. Now, guys, this is something I feel very strongly against, if you're writing an opinion piece and if you feel very strongly about an ideology or if you feel very strongly against another ideology, then you should refrain from passing value judgments, or name calling, sort of shaming people or organizations publicly. That's not professional writing. You could always, obviously, criticize somebody's point of view, criticize their ideology, or criticize the actions of an organization, an entity. You could do all of that. But sort of, passing judgmental remarks against individuals, sort of name calling and stereotyping people. And, also, according to me, sort of playing identity politics and, sort of playing the archetypal victim is uncalled for in an opinion piece. Of course, it's my personal opinion. A lot of people might have different views, but I think, the more sort of distance you sound in an opinion piece and, slightly, if you adopt a slightly detached perspective, then that makes it look more professional. The next feature of an opinion piece is crispy, concise, and conversational. Now, this is, of course, about the language. I think the language of an opinion piece has to be somewhere between formal and informal. It can't be as formal as, an academic paper, or a white paper sort of a thing, but it cannot be as informal as a blog post also. So it has to be somewhere in between where it sort of reads professional and you give it a formal tone, but it also should be able to, the reader should be able to connect to it. So it should also be conversational. So you have to maintain that finds balance between formal and informal, I think. Use active voice instead of passive voices, and sort of use words, a tone which connect to people. Of course, a lot depends on the publication you're writing for and the topic you're writing. If you're writing about geopolitics and international relations, then, the tone and everything, it automatically becomes a bit formal because the audience is like that. But if you're writing about, let's say, culture or sports or entertainment, that the tone is a bit, informal, you can take liberty. So it, of course, depends on the topic and the audience and the publication you're writing for. But still, I would say maintain a balance between formal and informal. One thing about writing I have learned over years is that, if you can make shorter sentences, please try and do. I know, in this kinds of writing, you want to say a lot of stuff and the sentence often gets complicated. So without compromising on the meaning and the depth of the sentence, if you can shorten the sentence and say the same thing in few words, trust me, it's always better. And it's easier for reader to read a couple of short sentences than, long ramblings. The seventh feature of an opinion piece is that your intro has to be compelling. Now, guys, you should really pay attention to the introduction of your opinion piece. And this goes with every form of writing. But it's very important for an opinion piece, especially, I think, because a lot of us generally, we try to build too much of suspense and we do a lot of rambling in the beginning and, we try to create suspense. And then by the time we have introduced the topic, we get to introduce the topic, it's already the middle of the article. I do it a lot in my YouTube videos. I ramble in the beginning a lot and and then by the time I come to the main topic, it's already 2 or 3 minutes. I don't know if it works in videos or not, but it certainly doesn't work in an opinion piece. So an opinion piece is a sort of a crispy form of writing. It can be reflective, yes, but it cannot just go on and on and you cannot ramble. So you have to come straight to the point and your intro should be such that it gives the reader a crisp idea of, the topic. And even if you're not directly talking about the topic in the couple of lines or setting the context or whatever, the reader should get an idea, you can tease the reader, but the reader should get an idea about what you're going to be talking about. So and you have to sort of, introduce a topic bang on after the first couple of lines. So your intro has to be very, very carefully crafted. It can be a tease, yes, but it cannot just completely bore the reader so much that they lose interest in it altogether and they just don't know what you're talking about. The eighth tip is that stay within the topic. Now, I cannot emphasize this enough that, guys, while writing an opinion piece, you have to stay within the topic. You cannot take a detour. There are many forms of writing, like literary forms of writing, especially, and if you're writing things like memoir or literary commentaries or things like that, even an essay, you have a lot of liberty to add your reflections, take a detour, this and that, talk about other things, talk about unrelated stuff. But in an opinion piece, you cannot. In an opinion piece, you just talk about whatever you're talking about has to be related to your topic. You do not have the you do not have the liberty to take a detour here. So just stick to your topic. The ninth point is context is king. Now, guys, creating the context is very important in an opinion piece. So whatever topic you're talking about, the topic is contentious, it's a news, but you still have to give a bit of a context. So for example, if you're talking about sort of one nation, one election, and whether you're writing in for or in favor or against, you have to give a bit of a background, that it was introduced in the Indian Parliament and what is the controversy, and you have to sort of give the situation a pros and cons so that the audience gets a little bit of an idea, key what you're talking about. It can be in brief, it has to be in brief, you cannot like tell them a whole story, but still the audience, you have to assume that your audience has heard about this topic, but they don't know the context. So that's a difference between a video and writing. When you're making a video, on news topics, so many people make videos these days, and then they don't give any context and they just sort of say rhetorical things. And in video format, it kind of like you can get away with it. But when you're writing and everything is on paper, then you cannot get away with it, and you have to kind of give the context and mention the facts that what exactly happened and when it happened. So that's a difference between video and sort of writing on paper. So yeah, in an opinion piece, you always have to give a brief context of the topic you're talking about. Last, the 10th and the last tip I have for you is that make it unique. Now, guys, I know that to make something, especially in this world, where everything, there's so much of circulation of news and opinions, and everything is kind of so interconnected that it's difficult to find a unique perspective. But still, you must try your best to make your opinion piece as unique as possible. Find a new angle to an existing story, or find offbeat topics from your domain, do some unique research. You can refer to, books in an opinion piece. That's something which I do, refer to books and authors. And it's a very unique feature because trust me, guys, generally people don't work so hard in opinion pieces. So, they just give their opinions and refer to a little bit, sort of maybe some kind of like facts from here and there. But if you refer to, sort of proper literature like books and all, then it has already made your opinion piece unique. The second thing which I do is that sometimes whenever I have time, I try to incorporate, some kind of interviews, even if it's telephonic interviews. I try to insert, some kind of if the topic is like that, then I try to insert some kind of sound bites into an opinion piece. So that's something which again makes it unique. So, find your unique point and try to give a unique perspective to your opinion piece. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. If you like the content, please do press the like button and please do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.